Welcome to your 15th web scraping tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to be using the algorithm that we built in the last tutorial to actually crawl some websites. So the only thing that we need to change is we need to add a stack. Well, actually we're adding a queue, and we're adding a historical record. So what we actually have to add is underneath br.mechanize browser, we'll add URLs equals empty array with URL in it, and we'll add visited equals URL as well. Next we'll say while length of URLs is greater than 0. So basically, while we still have some leads to scrape, we'll say br.open. Actually, we already have that written. So br.open URL. Next, we will say urls.pop, and we actually want to pop off the first URL on our stack. I mean on our queue. I keep saying, when I say stack, I really mean queue. So we're adding to the end of this. We're adding to the end of this queue, and we're taking from the beginning. So it's a first in, last out. So the first thing, actually it's first in, last out, I guess. So actually I don't know if that's true. The queue is first in, last out. Okay, so next we will say for, we'll actually have to indent this and put this within the while loop. So we'll just control and then close bracket, actually indents. So we'll say for this, we want to say if actually we'll set new URL equal to this. So we'll say new URL equals to this. If new URL not in visited, we can say visited dot append new URL, and we can also say urls dot append new URL. So that will just add it to our queue, and it will add it to our historical record. And why don't we also print it just for good measure? We'll say print new URL, and then I think that's about it. So we can try running it. F5. And that seems to be all it has found, is just the first, exactly what it found last time. So let's go back and see if there's a problem. I found the problem. We're not opening URL. We're opening URLs of 0. Because what URL, we want to take the first thing from the queue. We don't want to take the same URL every single time. We want to take the first thing from the queue. So let's do that. I think that's the only problem. Yep, seems to be the only problem. So let's run it. Oh, excellent. Oh, we get an error. Oh no. So what does our error say? HTTP error 404. So why don't we try printing out whatever our, before we try to open anything with the with mechanized, why don't we print it out so that we see what URL it's having a problem opening. So we'll say print URLs of 0. Print that, try it. So this is the problem. It's second adbnews.com/area51/second/bling.html. So I don't actually know why it's trying to go to Bling, because Bling is obviously in the first directory, not in the second directory. So why don't I open up the second directory and see if it's my fault or if it's actually an error within Area 51. So what I'm going to do is go to Area 51, and I'll actually drag this into view here. So here is Area 51 of second. So let's actually inspect this code. Bang.html, index.html. Doesn't look like it's trying to access Bling. Let's go to bang.html and see. Control U. Bling, there it is. So we're in the second directory and it's trying to find bling.html. Let's click, but what's it named? It's named bang, but when I click on bang, it goes to the not found. So this is actually an error within Area 51, the website that I have made. So it's either the case that I misspelled or I forgot which directory Bling was supposed to be in, or it's the case that I intentionally put this 404 error in ADB News Area 51. So I'll leave that up to you to decide whether I made that error or whether I intentionally put that in there. But every site we visit isn't going to have it's not going to have every page load. We're going to encounter 404 errors. So we're going to need some kind of error handling. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to open, I'm going to try, within the while loop, I'm going to try to open this. So I'll say try, and then I'll have to indent all of this. The way you indent is control, close, bracket. I don't know if it's bracket, it's this thing. Braces, maybe? It's either braces or bracket. But, so we'll try, and then we will accept. So let me see what, in my accept, I'll just print error. Print error. And we'll actually see if this behaves in the way that we expect. So let's try it. F5. Okay, no errors so far. Oh wow, look at all these errors. What is happening? Oh no, it's still going? Okay, so we tried to open and we got an error. So when we get an error, what that means is it's still trying to access the same element, the first one on the stack. So it tries to open the URL, it gets an error, so it goes back, it tries to open the same first thing on the queue, gets an error, tries to open the first thing on the queue. So what we actually have to do is, why don't we just remove that from the queue if it's obviously giving us an error. So we'll say urls.pop 0. Save this, run it. We get an error. We don't care. Okay, so why don't we print out what we're getting? So will print new URL after everything we add on to the visited list will print it out. And this only will print out if it's unique, because it checks if it's invisited. So we'll save this, and next we will run this. So it found the first, the second, the third, it had an error there, the fifth, and then it got to the end and it went out to Disney. And the reason that it does that is because, let me just kill this now, or it's gonna go crazy. Okay, so the reason why it did that is because the reason it did that is because if you go to the fifth directory, fifth, we're at the fifth level. We have bacon, beer, and then we have the wonderful world of Disney, which is actually external. This is an external link. So if it was the case that we want to go out to Disney, we would run it just as it is. We would go out to Disney, we would scrape all the links there, and we would just keep going. But if it's the case where we only want to do 4, a depth of 4 for this algorithm, we wouldn't actually reach the 5th page. So that's the reason why I put this external link on the 5th page, is when we're testing our depth search, if we end up scraping links from Disney, we know that our algorithm has a bug. And if we want to scrape just this site, just as it is, we can say if new URL not invisited, and I'll say URL parse dot URL parse of URL dot hostname not in new URL. So that basically means if it doesn't see adbnews.com, it's not going to add it to our queue. So let's try running this. Control S5. Oh, that was a stupid mistake. That means if adbnews isn't in the URL, we add it to the stat, we add it to the queue. But we definitely want adbnews to be in our URL if we want just the links from this website. So next we will run this, and it finishes perfectly, and it has gotten all of the URLs on adbnews.com, and they're all extremely valid. And the only thing in this tutorial that I don't differentiate between is between area 51/5th/ and area 51/5th/ index.html. But that is just something that's really simple that we can fix later. But for the most part, this is an excellent web scraper. It gets the URLs we want that are on this site, and it makes sure there's no duplicates. And I don't think there should be any. Actually, here's a duplicate. adbnews.com/area51/2/bling. First/bling. Maybe there's 2 blings. Let me check. So when we get first/bling, paste that in there, and then we put second and see. Second.bling is not found. Okay. So maybe we shouldn't add stuff to visited once. Add stuff to visited before we've made sure it's a valid, something that's valid. Maybe we should say urls.append. Maybe we should just append it to URLs until we've actually visited it, and then if we can open it, then we will add it to visited. So let me try this. I actually don't know if this will work. Nope. Visited.append. Actually, I think we should leave it in there, because that way if there is a link that's broken, even though it's not a valid link to anything and we can't extract any data from it, we won't be visiting that broken link multiple times. So it's actually a good thing that we leave visited.append new URL exactly where it is, because what we don't want is if we had it somewhere else after verifying that it's a correct URL, our scraper will it'll go to a 404 page, it'll go to the 404 page, it'll be like, oh, this is a broken link, I'm not going to add it to visited, and then it might find it on the next page, and it'll be like, oh, this is a broken link, I'm not going to add it to our page, and then it will keep finding it over and over and over again, and it'll keep requesting it. So when we are actually extracting data from our site, what we're going to do is we're going to visit every URL regardless of whether it returns anything. So at the very end, I'll just print visited, and I'll comment this, and F5. Okay, so here's our links, all the links that we have visited so far, regardless of whether they're valid links or not. Yeah, so let me try it for a different site. Try it for sparkbrowser.com. F5. So it found some broken pages. This is actually a useful thing too if you're looking to see if you have broken pages on your website. So I guess I have like 20 broken pages. I need to go back and check those. And I'm actually going to print these out in a better way. I'm not going to print it as an array. So I'll print this. And these are all unique. If you see any twice, then let me know because it's not working correctly, but it looks to be about.php. Was there another about.php? Support. I think these are unique. /index.html, index.php. Okay, so these appear to be unique links Now let's try it for a bigger website. Try it for NewYorkTimes.com. Oops, I think I messed up. Try it for NewYorkTimes.com. And it's just going like crazy. So, let's see if it keeps going. It couldn't have found everything so far. I could actually print out the size of the queue as well to see how much more time it needs. Okay, let's start again. And when we actually implement this for our news scraping website, we're going to be using multiple threads. So thank you for watching your 15th web scraping tutorial on Python web crawlers.